Hey everybody, my name is Russ. That is Lauren, and this is our Thursday music topic video. We always have the reaction videos on the weekends and the vinyl or audio equipment reviews on Sunday. But to be honest, this is our favorite video that we do every week, is us switching off on who wants to talk about a different music topic each week. This one was actually inspired by a video you did not long ago from our What's So Great About series, where you did What's So Great About Debbie Gibson. And in that video, I was talking about how people always remember, like people always say, what's the first album you bought with your own money, or what's the first cassette or first CD? And I remember very clearly that Out of the Blue by Debbie Gibson was the fourth CD that I bought. And I said, well, I'll save that for another time. And so this is the time. So when I was a kid, I had a ton of records and tapes. I actually way preferred vinyl, even as a kid, over cassettes. I did the bigger artwork and stuff. I just liked that more. Even we had a lot of 8-tracks in the house too. I think I've told you this many times, that my mom had like a certain section of 8-tracks that she had to have for both cars.
Oh yeah.
Like, so there were like certain Elvis albums and certain things that she had to have copies in both cars. So she always had them with her.
Sure.
So CDs for me were a very lofty thing. Like, you know, I was in my, I was under teenage in the 80s, at the time, you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to put, $300-400 together and just go buy a CD player. And at the time, CDs were still, 15-16 bucks each, you couldn't, they were very wide by the time, which you'll be able to tell by the titles that I share. So the one thing I wanted to do was I didn't want to get a CD player and just buy one CD and then be like, this album sounds amazing, and then go back to listening to vinyl or cassette or whatever, because at the time CDs were perceived to be so much better, right? So anyways, I had this whole plan, which, being married to me, you're never going to believe this, but I had a whole plan.
Of course you did.
Yeah, and I was going to save up, and I knew which CD player that I wanted. I was going to wait for that to go on sale, and then my plan was to have enough money to go buy the CD player and then go to Kmart and buy 3 CDs so that I had enough to go on.
Sure.
Okay. So if you're from, I think Michigan only, you will know the name of this place, but there was a place called Highland Appliance that was, literally just an electronics and a much smaller regional version of what would come to be. At the time, I think everything was still regional. I don't think there was such a thing as Best Buy and Circuit City that were national at the time. But just a little regional store. So I was all ready to go in there. What's funny is I wish I could remember what CD player that I bought, but I remember that it was, it was like a, wide, like the whole, rack type. So I think 24 inches is what they are, things in audio equipment and whatnot. But anyways, I was all excited to get it. And we went around the corner to Kmart, and I kind of knew what I wanted, but also they could have had anything on CD, and I would have been like, I'm buying these, just to have them. So the very first thing that I picked out, totally on the strength of the lead single, was the self-titled album by Whitesnake, because of Here I Go Again. And there's 2 versions that were on the radio, and I like severely hated one version. There's a version, radio edit version, that has this like janky pop rock intro that's like tacked on. I've played it for you before. And I desperately wanted the regular version that I knew to be on the album. Thankfully it was. But before those other songs were singles, I found, came to love like Is This Love and Still the Night. I ended up loving those songs way before they were singles, right?
Sure, yeah.
But I remember, because Still the Night is such a long time, I remember sitting there at my CD player and being like, and hitting the forward button and being like, I could just go to the next song. Like, you know what I mean? Because like that was a totally new thing. You know, you could pick up the stylus and move it, but
this was much more
different
efficient
than this. Yeah. Which is funny, because years later that would become to be a thing I don't like people skipping songs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, the second album that I bought, again on the strength of the single, is Bad Animals by Heart. Now, I had the album before, the self-titled album, on either vinyl or cassette. I think I had that one on cassette, but and so I love These Dreams and all that. So I was like, and again, you got to remember, at the time as a kid, I didn't know Barracuda and Magic Man and all that. I just was like, look at this new band Heart, that has Never, So I was just like, oh, well, let me go buy this. And I knew I loved Alone. And again, there's stuff like there was a second single off that record called Who Will You Run To? That's a great song. You recently did a video where you were talking about another song that was on the album before that was a single as well. That kind of got forgotten. But again, Bad Animals is one of those things where like, I don't think I would have ever listened to that entire record if it wasn't one of the first three. Like I would have got it, listened to Alone, and that's probably it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one that I bought that day is it's definitely a diverse choice, and it comes with I will very much shorten this story. But the last one that I bought that day was LL Cool J, Bigger and Deffer, and I was so excited to get this. And it was available at a Clarkston at a Kmart in Clarkston, Michigan, which is still a very type of town that you wouldn't see much artists like LL Cool J hanging around, if you know what I mean. And we went through the register. Well, actually, I should cover why I love the album. I knew I Need Love off the album, but I didn't love that song. But someone played I'm Bad for me, and I was like, well, I have to have that. And this is an album that I don't think I would love the entire thing as much if it wasn't in those first three. I love every song on this record. Like we have it on vinyl, and I recently was like, we were cooking and I was doing like every word with it, and I haven't heard the whole album in 20 years, like I just truly love this album. But the story that goes along with it is that we went through the checkout at the Kmart, and the woman there rang up the Whitesnake record and just put it in the bag, rang up the Heart Animal or Bad Animals and just put it in the bag. And then she rings up LL Cool J and just looks at him on the cover and says to my mom, well, I don't know if you want him buying music from these people. And I was like, oh no, like you have effed up. Like, just, it's a much longer story. Racism was not a thing in our house. And my mom was a very outspoken woman. And like there was a moment where like my mom, it had to register because she wasn't expecting the level of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
So like my mom literally was like looking at me like there was something she was missing. And I kind of gave my mom the look like, no, that's how she meant it. And if you drive to Waterford, it's now Waterford, Michigan, but if you drive to Waterford, Michigan, to where the Kmart was, because they're all closed now, you will still see a black burn spot on the ground from where my mother lost her mind on this cashier. She didn't hit her or anything, but just verbally just lost her mind and was like, who do you think you are? And like,
wow.
And part of what, I mean, she of course was telling her how ignorant racism is, but she also was like, I'm teaching him to be I want him to make up his own mind about things. I don't want, and I just remember that being like, yeah, like I just thought that was so cool that like in the thing she was like, and also if he's going to be not listen to something, it's not going to be because of someone like you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I love that. And I, at first I was like, I can't do a video about the first 3 CDs I bought because I'm just going to list them off. But then I thought, well, you know what? There's a good story behind each, and especially behind the LL Cool J. And I know these stories are probably old for you now, but
they're new for them.
Yeah, but they're new for the folks. So
I heard them again for you.
Right. So if you would please leave a comment, let me know what you think about my first choices. Let me know what your first CDs were, because like I said, everybody has that first for everything. Just let me know what your first CDs were. Once again, that is Lauren. My name is Russ. Thanks for watching. If you would please click the like on your way out and have a great day.